this fascist truck right here. This truck that's doxing students on this campus, suppressing pro-Palestinian voices. Why can't Jews have some protection on this campus? Why can't the Palestinian people have some protection in Gaza right now from having 2,000-pound bombs and Hellfire missiles raining down on them? Are Jewish students on this campus being bombed? Are they being put in concentration camps? You know who is? The people in Gaza right now. Anti-Semitism is a very real thing. But what these people are doing is a bunch of bullshit. It is changing the subject from the actual genocide that is happening right now.
All right, so that was Rafael Kadaris, a regular contributor to the RNL Revolution Nothing Less show. Rafael survived the cold, and he's still in Boston, and we want to welcome him to the show. How you doing, Rafael?
Hey, I'm doing well, and good to be here.
Yeah, well, we were really excited and that we made a decision as soon as we heard about the congressional hearings that dragged the presidents of MIT and Harvard, where you are, in Boston, Cambridge, and as well as the president of the University of Pennsylvania, who was compelled to resign in what was a congressional inquiry to put these college presidents on the docket for having not sufficiently suppressed the struggle of the students to stop the genocide in Gaza. Now, I wanted to ask you, you left here right away, as soon as you heard about this. What was your mission, and what have you found when you got out there to Boston?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think people fully realize what a big deal it is when, when a fascist congressperson, sort of like the McCarthyite trials back in the 1950s that were going after communists, but now they have, this fascist MAGA congresspersons, Elise Stefanik, by the way, a supporter of Trump's fascist coup, for her to drag these, three presidents of major Ivy League schools, Harvard, MIT, Penn, and actually force the resignation of the president of UPenn. This is a big deal. And what were the terms that were being set in these hearings? They basically, they asked, probably many of you have seen the viral clip of, Stefanik asking these presidents, will you, is it against the school policy if, students call for the genocide of Jews? But what you didn't see is that previously in those hearings, Stefanik had defined calls for genocide against Jews as just saying intifada, which is an Arabic word that literally just means uprising or shaking off of oppression. They said you can't say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Otherwise, you're calling for the genocide of Jews. This is complete nonsense, and in fact, the screaming irony of this whole situation is here you have a movement, a righteous movement of students on these college campuses and across the country who have been demanding a stop to a literal genocide, which has been going on for over 2 months now. 20,000 civilians killed, over 10,000 children, almost the entire Gaza Strip completely destroyed, almost everyone in that whole area displaced from their homes. This is ethnic cleansing. This is literal genocide. And the people who are opposing this are now themselves being accused of genocide. This is a vicious lie and a slander, and it's designed to suppress this movement of opposition, which, has had an effect. It has actually ripped the veil off the U.S. and Israel and their claims of democracy and human rights. People have called out genocide Joe Biden. They've said that the state of Israel is a racist apartheid state, and they're right to say that, and the people who are saying that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism are wrong. There's nothing anti-Semitism about opposing, the criminal racist state of Israel. In fact, as Bob Avakian said, after the Holocaust, the worst thing that has happened to the Jewish people is the state of Israel. And this is something, that you had lots of Jewish students and Jewish people in society who've said never again should mean never again for anyone. I came out to the East Coast to, salute the students who have been standing up to this and say, look, we have to take this struggle further. Now is not the time to back down in the face of this repression. Now is actually the time to broaden the resistance, to make the resistance even more militant as the state of Israel and the U.S. continue to bomb the hell out of Gaza, and this repression comes down on people. And now is the time for people to ask the deeper questions about why is the U.S. backing Israel? Why have they backed Israel for decades under Democrats and Republicans? What does that have to do with the nature of this system of capitalism, imperialism, and U.S. imperialism in particular, the world's number one gangster, and the special role of the state of Israel serving the interests of U.S. imperialism in the Middle East and beyond? That's why it's not the Jewish lobby as people might think, or the military industrial complex. It's imperialism and this special role. And so people have to, we're challenging students on these college campuses to dig into the deeper root causes of this genocide and the real solution, which is nothing less than revolution.
In just the last 2 months, you can see that the consensus, in a certain sense, of people just going along with this. They don't really like Biden, but they're kind of going along with things and really not liking Trump. But here, there's been a tremendous delegitimization of imperialism and of the Democrats as the alternative. I wonder if you've been talking with students about that.
Yeah, I think there is, we've met a number of very serious students who are really agonizing about the situation in Gaza right now and are feeling themselves, we just came from a rally at MIT where, a lot of students feel very, even personally responsible for what's going on in Israel because, MIT actually has many contracts with the Israeli Defense Forces producing weaponry and equipment that they use to carry out this slaughter. So there is a tremendous depth of, moral responsibility that a number of students that we've met feel, and many of them feel like, they're really up against this system, and the fact that as much as we've been protesting, as much as they've been speaking out, these politicians just don't seem to be listening at all. And even more than that, they're now coming down on them with repression. A number of these students have been arrested. They're facing disciplinary hearings, federal investigations. All this is going on these campuses. So it is actually forcing a lot of students to ask the question of why, and people have actually been open to what we have to say on this. And what we're actually trying to bring out to people is, look, the essence of this country and this society, as Bob Avakian says right in the beginning of the book Basics, the essence of what exists in this country is not democracy, but capitalism, imperialism, and political structures to enforce that capitalism, imperialism. And what the U.S. exports around the world is not democracy, but imperialism and political structures to enforce that imperialism. The essence of this country is a dictatorship. For all their talk about free speech and democracy and all this kind of stuff, when it comes down to it, when you threaten the core interests of this system, which Israel, plays a key role serving the core interests of U.S. imperialism in a very strategic part of the world, the Middle East, where a lot of oil is produced. It's a crossroads of global trade in the Middle East. The U.S. has used Israel to have its talons in that region and beyond for decades. So when you have people delegitimizing that state, saying it's an apartheid state, that's very dangerous for this system. And so people are right up against, this is not a democracy, in essence. This is a dictatorship that's on full display right now. And, we've had people also looking, I just talked to someone today who said, she asked me if I was a communist, and I was like, I am. They were like, oh, that's really cool because all my friends hate capitalism, but no one, and I'm just looking at this genocide being carried out. I'm seeing that I'm learning that my phone is, produced by child labor in the Congo. You just pull one string and the whole the whole, all your beliefs about this system fall apart and you see the whole system is rotten. But all my friends, feel that way and they're hopeless and they don't see any alternative. And so I was like, well, look, we have an alternative, and there's leadership and Bob Avakian, who's got a whole new understanding of communism and a constitution for a new socialist republic in North America and a strategy that we can fight for now, particularly at this moment when millions of people are being dragged into political life right now. By this genocide, by the fact that a party in this country has become an openly fascist party, and the other is a party of like grotesque war crimes and genocide. Like, these are not our only options. Our choice is, are we going to accept this system and everything it does to humanity and the fact that it's pushing the climate of our planet off of the cliff and bringing about fascism in this country? Or are we going to get organized to overthrow it now? Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge that we're putting to people. And it is a challenge because revolution is not on the radar. It's not the comfortable thing. It's not the easy thing, but it's the necessary thing. And that can speak to people in a moment like this.
All right, Raf, keep it up, and you keep us posted on your travels on the East Coast, and we'll see you when you get back here.
All right. Sounds good, Andy.
All right. Bye-bye.